Hello and welcome to another Division 2 video. In this video I'm gonna talk about the most important things you have to do after Title Update 3 and the things you should have in mind with the new changes they got implemented in the game. And yeah, I know it's quite a while ago since I uploaded the last video on YouTube. Two reasons for it. Got a pretty busy schedule the last couple days, and to be absolutely honest with you, yes, I got bored out a little bit as well. It's just annoying farming for the whole stuff all over and over and over again, and yeah, that was a little bit disappointing and scratched on my motivation a little bit too. But let's get right into it. As I said, first of all, I will talk about the most important thing you should do after Title Update 3, then the things you should have in mind, the most important changes to the gear talents and stuff, and finally I will quickly talk about these changes in general as well, and for sure about skills and skill builds another time in this video at the end. So but first of all, if you log into Title Update 3, which I think you have done already, is for sure this lady here. I bought them already. Here sells now blueprints, and yeah, definitely get all the blueprints she sells. But make sure check her out all the time again, and you see actually a recount or a countdown at the top, so 4 days, 14 hours, and then she has new items. So she sells now blueprints. This is a really important thing to know as well, and really buy all of them if you can. And I guess it should be not too hard to get. This is the first thing you should have in mind and do at the beginning. Then the second one you should have in mind regarding blueprints as well. So they're actually now 2 weekly blueprints, the campus, as you can see here, where you can get a guaranteed crafting blueprint. Then you have the same for theater as well, weekly blueprint, where you can get a blueprint as well. And then you have all day a daily SHD requisition, where you have to donate some stuff, ceramics, polycarbonate and electronics, to get a guaranteed blueprint as well. So these are really important things or changes, I think, to complete finally all the blueprints. And yeah, unfortunately it's RNG based, so I haven't got the plus 20 rounds AR damage AR magazine not yet, unfortunately. So unfortunately it's RNG. And the last thing you should do especially when you prepare for the raid or whatever, for this new update, a pretty easy way, I guess all of you have recalled some stuff already on your gear, and yet there are quite a lot of changes. I think the first thing you figured out, it was the health pool. So you had a much higher health pool than before. It's almost double the amount, I would say, pretty much. And yeah, the recall station got changed in the direction that you don't have the lower cap as before, so there is now a higher cap. And this is the thing here, how you can improve the gear pretty easy. So if you changed already one stat, for sure not a talent, it has to be an attribute like this one here, or the one on the chest piece from my stats here, then you can see I have 13k health right now, and this was the cap before. And if I go down now, then you can see now I have pretty high rolls and I will not use them anyway, so I could re-roll it to 32k. 32k means 20k more health, and in a raid this would mean quite a lot in my opinion. So this is a pretty easy way. So go over your gear, check which stats you recalled already and which gear pieces you don't need, and probably you are like me and you just grabbed everything because you thought one day you can use it. This is a pretty good stat, I'll put into my stash, and you got a mess like me as well, and I have to clean up my stash pretty much every second day. No, not that often, but quite a lot, to be honest. And yeah, then my recommendation would really be just go over your stash, then take everything out you don't need, and there are quite a lot of changes, to be honest, and then use them to increase your gear, the current setup. So this is for starting into the new update, pretty much the most important thing in my opinion. Go over your gear and recall all the stats you can. For sure you need some crafting material, but then you can farm it pretty easy, just doing missions and stuff for farming in the DC for better gear pieces anyway. But this is the first thing I would do or recommend you to do. So then let's go over, and just by the way, this is my second jar, so I don't have that much material anyway in this one. It's just my little how it's the right word in English, I missed it. Yeah, the guy, I just stuff all the things I don't need actually on my primary char. And then the talents that got nerfed pretty hard in my opinion, especially for PvE. You can see 2 of them already here. This is the one here, Patience. Now you have 5 seconds to be 5 seconds in cover that it procs, and not longer 3. I really don't understand this nerf. It's quite a huge nerf in my opinion, and yeah, I think it's not as useful anymore for both ways. And I mean, PvP, you don't stick in cover that long anyway, so if then this was a PvE talent, and yeah, it was quite a useless nerf in my opinion. But yeah, unfortunately this is not as useful anymore in my opinion. If you have it, for sure it's not the worst one, but yeah, it's not the best one anymore as well. Then the second one, Safeguard, actually is not too bad, too good. In my opinion, you can have it if you don't have the material to recall it, or if you don't have a better alternative. But yeah, they nerfed it 2 times. So first time they added a cooldown on it, and now the second time they nerfed it because the effect is not as long anymore, as soon as I know. But the main nerf is for sure more in PvP or in the normalized areas, because in the normalized areas you don't have 150%, you just have 50% anymore, and yeah, this is not really a lot, and there are better alternatives in my opinion. And yeah, in this patch, I mean, a lot of talents like Berserk or Unstoppable Force got nerfed as well, as you can see right here. Before it was every 10,000 armor, now it got increased to every 25,000 armor. It's quite a lot. Yes, you can have a lot more armor, you can have a lot more, but if you start after the patch, then this is quite a huge nerf. For sure, for some builds, this is still a really good talent, Unstoppable Force, more in PvE than in PvP in my opinion. Because the duration, yeah, it's quite long compared to others, but you have a cooldown as well and stuff, so yeah, might be not the best, but it's still a pretty good talent as an example. And Berserk, the one here, got nerfed as well, but it was needed for sure. This one was needed, it was really OP, and yeah, you have to have a look if it's still needed, but you can make some pretty crazy builds still. The requirements are now 7 reds, you know this already, I guess, the ones that are interested in this. And yeah, compensated, it's still the same as before, still really good in my opinion. And there's some other stuff as well, but I don't go over all the changes. So Clutch got buffed in my opinion, because now you have 20% health repair with a crit hit. So with the right setup, the right build, you can, as I said, you can make really crazy builds with Berserk and Clutch still. And it's still, in my opinion, at the end it will be too strong. Let's see, but it's just my guessing. It will be too strong. So, but then now, what are the best talents to talk about this? And the best talents for me right now on the chess piece are, or is, the one here, Unbreakable. Unbreakable got a huge buff in my opinion, a huge buff especially in PvE scenarios. As you can see, you get back 70% of your max armor is repaired when your armor is depleted. Armor kits used within the next 7 seconds are not consumed. Yes, you need quite a lot of blue stats, 11 of them, but it's really worth for most of the builds, or especially for LMG builds in my opinion. And yeah, LMG builds, they're really nice. I still like them quite a lot, and it's like a little nomad. So especially if you play solo, or even if you prepare for the raid, this is one of the best things you can have, Unbreakable. I know it's not a damage talent, but let's be honest, if you fight the bosses, and yeah, the raid is mainly about the 4 bosses. We managed already 3 of them and are at the last one, but yeah, it's quite hard to find the right equipped players, to be honest, and 8 of them, and for the last part you really need, especially for the first time, 8 players with good builds that know what they do. So this is yeah, quite a challenge, to be honest, but I like it quite a lot, because now you have a reason to farm for the right pieces and stats to beat the raids. So this is really a good thing in my opinion. But yeah, let's go back to it. Unbreakable, really one of the best talents in my opinion. because it's quite a shit ton of survivability. So even if you have a build with 260k like this one here, or 300k, which is not too hard anymore to get with the right stats, then 70% of this one you can get back. So with 300k, it's 200k back. Means you have a total of 510,000 armor, and this is a huge survivability buff in my opinion. And especially, as I said, if you played the raid or if you plan to play the raid, this is one of the best talents to get. Definitely, for sure, hands down. Definitely one of the best ones. And yeah, the cooldown is not too long. It's around 10 seconds between the buffs. And then have in mind, especially if you run Demolitionist and an LMG, if you use a medkit right away, and it's not that hard actually, just go in cover when it procced and then use a medkit, then you get the handling buff from the Demolitionist. Which one is it? This one here. So armor kits repair 70% damage, blah blah blah, and handling by 100% for 15 seconds. So every time unbreakable buffs go in cover, use an armor kit, you don't use it. And yes, armor kit is a challenge as well in the raids because you just have 2 of them. So every talent that increases the amount, it's really an advantage, and Unbreakable gives you both more survivability, and you don't use the armor kits if you use it right away. And you have for 15 seconds the handling buff, especially on console. And the first boss, I think many of you heard it already, it's important to land headshots. I mean, it's not too hard because it's still on his knees when you have the time to deal damage to him. So then this is really a nice talent, especially for console. Getting a buff, 100% handling bonus is really a lot. So this for me is the best talent to get. And otherwise, for sure, in this patch, because Berserk got nerfed a little, then Unstoppable Force got nerfed a little, so quite a lot of damage talents got nerfed as well. That's why the most important thing in this patch is to see how can you increase the damage. And increasing the damage, for sure, one way is the one here on the ropes. But then you can do it, so you can use, I have it on my main char, I can actually quickly change to it that you can see my build, my current one. So I'm back here with my main char to show you the current build. This one is for PvP, where I use both of the talents, the Unbreakable one and on the ropes, for as much damage as possible, because as I said in this patch, it's really, you have to have a look how you can deal damage again, because everyone is more tanky, especially in PvP. And yeah, the damage talents got nerfed quite a lot, or many of them, like Unstoppable Force, Berserk and stuff. They're still pretty good, I would say, but yeah, for sure not as good as before, because especially in PvP, everybody got tankier and tankier with time, because of the gear, the new gear set attributes and stuff, and the new items you can get or attributes. Then you have to have a look how you can deal damage. And this is actually the build for PvP, as I said, with 12 blue ones and 7 yellow ones to unlock on the ropes. And here still 25% more weapon damage, which is quite a lot, I think, at the moment. The most you can get, for sure, with Berserk, you get, if all the armor is depleted, 50%. But yeah, this one otherwise is pretty much one of the best ones to get. The next one is Spotter on the mask, and for both, I would say, especially if you run in a group, everybody runs Spotter on his mask as an example, and one dude pulls all the time, you have 20% increased damage. And because in there's no mission where you can just meet elites, even in the raid, but in the raid it's a little bit a different topic, I would say. Then for me, Spotter, it's more important than the talent where you can get increased damage against elites, the one here, hard hitting. And yeah, by the way, hard hitting got nerfed as well. It was 15% before, now it's just 10%. I don't know why, but yeah, it got nerfed, like many other stuff as well. So that's why I think Spotter and on the ropes is a really good setup to have in the new patch. 20% here and 25%, and yes, you can combine it. If you have both on cooldown and your teammate pulses the enemy, then for sure you have the one here active on the ropes, and they are pulsed as well, so you will get increased damage from the Spotter as well. So this is a really nice combination, and for LMGs, when you don't run crit, then for sure compensated, it's still a really good one as well. And unfortunately, yes, I say unfortunately, the one I have on my backpack. I just got one yet. I was farming quite a lot, but I was not lucky enough to get a second one. Generic mods, unfortunately, they're still really viable. So as you can see, 5% more LMG damage, pure damage. These are really good as well. Of course, you have a little less survivability because it's a defensive mod slot. But to increase the damage, this is unfortunately a good way as well. And for me personally, they should have fixed this really early in the game, but they haven't done it. And it should not be possible to use blue ones on your high-end gear, in my opinion. But this is just my opinion. So this is are the best ways to increase the damage, and just for letting you know. And yes, you can see my favorite weapon at the moment, but psst, it's a secret. It's my secret or our secret, but more and more run it. I guess I was pretty much the I never saw somebody running Pestilence right after the patch, just me. But then funny wise, 2-3 days later, you can see quite a lot of people, especially in skirmish, running this one here. Because although the damage is quite low compared to other ones, but trust me, it's hell a lot of fun and it's really strong if you use it wisely and correct. So Pestilence as a little secret tip. In PvE it's pretty good as well, but in PvP it's really nice to use. Try it out in PvE as well, not in the raid. In the raid it's not really useful, to be honest, but in PvP, PvE, otherwise it's really a good fun gun to use, just as a little side note or tip. But let's go quickly to my raid build, or I use in the raid right now, and here you can see the talents I use there. And yes, my main focus here as well is damage, and is, yeah, this is the little nice bug as well when you change the loadout. Now I have the big scope on my LMG. It doesn't work actually, unfortunately, but it looks pretty weird. So, but let's not mess up with this. As you can see, spotter is not active, has a certain reason, so this build is not maxed. It's for sure not maxed. So my main focus is survivability and damage, pure damage. And that's why I run this mask, and on this mask I have 45% damage to elites. So if I would like to increase the damage, yeah, I thought before I started the raid I will run Pulse with it, but honestly it's not really worth running Pulse, in my opinion, at least at the moment, for this raid. So that's why I changed it, and I could change it somehow, but I lack a little bit on the right gear piece and on crafting material as well. But for sure the better stat instead of spotter would be hard hitting. So then I would have 10% more damage to elites. This is one lack I have on this build. Then same as before, Unbreakable to increase the survivability, and yes, I don't run the mod here because otherwise the talent on my gloves compensated would not be active anymore. That's why I miss or lack a mod here. And yeah, the other talent Safeguard, as I said, it's not too bad, not too good. I mean, if it procs together with Unbreakable, and this can happen sometimes, then you get a full health or armor back, which means 310,000 armor. Then I have 620,000 armor with this build, which is quite insane. So this is my current setup at the moment, and underneath I'm not quite sure. I have skill haste right now, but for sure you can run hard hitting as well, so to increase the damage to elites. But yeah, to having skill haste, getting the skills back earlier means as well a little more survivability, especially the revive hive. So this was the main reason for doing it. And yeah, the cooldowns are really insanely long, and this is one of the reasons. And for sure for the weapon, especially for the sidearm, if you can get the one here, that would be the best thing to get, the third one, in rhythm, but I was not lucky enough to get a sidearm with in rhythm. That is the main reason why I don't run it. And yeah, I run the Merciless or the Nemesis to increase the headshot damage. Therefore I run the scope, which I have here. Damage to elites work you can scope through as well and benefit from the additional headshot damage from the Nemesis. And yeah, this is how my current build looks like for the raid. Worked pretty well, so we are the last boss, but yes, as I said, we need some more good players with right builds on it to complete the final part as well. But it worked pretty good so far. If you have questions, if you would like to see one build in detail, then please just let me know. Otherwise, I will just finish this video and continue with the changes in general and my thoughts, and especially about the skills and skill builds the changes they implemented. And yes, it will be probably a little bit of ranting from my side as well. I do have to do it sometimes too, so I hope you don't mind it. But yeah, let's get right into it. So all the changes, in my opinion, they did to the talents. Yeah, I'm a little bit between two tables, or however you name it in English. I'm not quite sure. I think some of them were really needed, like the Berserk change or Strained. What's the name for the one where you get increased crit damage? I mean, that was ridiculously high. Was definitely needed. Was definitely a good change in my opinion. But all the other stuff, I really don't get it. Just I don't get it. For me personally, too many changes in a too short amount of time, and it's just stupid to do so many changes, in my opinion, to the gear and to the stats and whatever. But we'll see how it works in the future. And yeah, this is just a little overview about the changes on the gear, in my opinion. And yeah, I think, as I said, Berserk and the Gloves talent, where you can get the... I think you know which one. Not compensated. Where you Clutch, where you can get health back. Clutch got buffed with health, and you can get a really huge health pool. So there are already builds out there with Berserk, with Clutch, and with the on the ropes together with around 250 to 300,000 health. So in my opinion, in 2 to 3 weeks, I would guess we can see some pretty broken builds again. Yes, they will be pretty broken. The gap will be as big as pretty much never before between the casual players and the ones that play really frequently, in my opinion, because yeah, I mean, you can get up to and more than 400k health armor. You can get builds with 300,000 health, and if you still struggle to get the right pieces and you are around 80k, 60 to 80k health and below 200k armor, you just stand a chance in PvP. So it will be pretty broken, in my opinion, in around 2 to 3 weeks. That's just my guessing. We will see. I really hope I'm wrong. But yeah, I haven't talked before about survivability, just about damage, and right now you can get talents as well on the backpack, on the knees, and many other stuff as well, like this one here, with total armor stats as an attribute. And I already saw one guy posting a pic on YouTube, on Facebook, with I think plus 19% bonus armor, and with around 30,000 armor on the chest piece, and with unbreakable as well on the same chest piece, and with weapon damage. So just have this in mind. I mean, if I could have this on this chest piece, more armor 10,000, and instead of health, I mean, I don't care about health on this build, to be honest, that much. If I would have 20% extra armor on this one here, this would be just insane. I mean, I would have 370 to 80k armor just with one other piece. And just imagine this in PvP. So if I would have 380k armor, still the same damage output, it will be pretty insane. And yes, these pieces are available right now. And I have already, now armor is still a little better, but you can have here 10% increased armor as well. So that's what I said. That's a really important change they did as well. As some change that I really don't understand as well. And yeah, we'll see. But as I said, my guessing 2 to 3 weeks we'll see some pretty broken builds, some really OP ones. Casual players will not have a chance anymore in PvP because they have, or if they're super lucky with the drops, then probably yes. But otherwise, yeah, it will be pretty annoying for them to play. And then I guess we have the next changes again, and we can farm the same shit over again. Will be a little disappointing. And finally, to rent more, the skill changes they did. So they added a new mod for the skills as well. And now you can get, let's quickly see. I guess here I have one. They added now a new certain mod like this one here, the auxiliary battery. So you can get skill power, especially for a certain skill, just with adding a mod to the skill. Which means at the end, if you have 0 skill power, you benefit a shit ton of this, because you can add 2 really decent mods on the skills, which you were not able to add before. But you benefit quite a lot if you don't have as much skill power. But for the skill builds, you benefit almost nothing, to be honest. So the changes to the mods to add a new mod to the skills is really shitty as well. It's really, I mean, sorry, who has this horrible idea to add another another mod, and it's already a mess. It's really already a mess with the gear mods and the skill mods. I mean, I discussed it with my friends so many times. They did a really awesome job with the weapon mods. I even liked it much more before, where you had the negative stats as well. But yeah, complaining, that much complaints about it from the community, unfortunately, and they changed it. Unfortunately, they listened to it that early, but I liked it much more before, but they did a really awesome job. So no mess anymore on the weapon mods like in Division 1. But why they made a much more messy mod system on the gear and on the skills, I really don't get it. My opinion, it's the wrong way. So skills should work like in Division 1. The more skill power you have, the better skills, the better cooldowns, and that's it. It's the best way. It was decent in Division 1, so why you have to change it? But yeah, this is the change. So you have now a new mod, and actually I could change this one here as well for my raid build, because I just found the 2 auxiliary mods, I guess, at the weekend somehow. And yeah, then you can increase the mods quite a lot, or the skills quite a lot, but just by adding the battery ones. But to sum it up, if you don't have skill power, then you benefit quite a lot from them. If you have a lot and the pure skill build, you benefit nothing, 0, unfortunately. So skill builds at the moment, unfortunately, are still really shitty. Let's be honest. The only skill build that's worth using, and this is just because of a weapon I just tried out lately, and probably you saw the video. I uploaded it quite an hour or a couple hours ago. It's the one here. This is my current skill build. It's hell a lot of fun, to be honest. As you can see, a lot of survivability, a lot of armor, and yet the Merciless just melts the tanks and elites. And stacked up with damage to elites on the mask, as you can see, over 40%, and a lot of explosive damage, so destructive. This build is really, really, really nice. So although I don't have, and this is an example, I don't have as much stats into skill power, but I have a lot of skill power anyway. And then just use the auxiliary mod, as you can see here, over 1,000, and I mean, many skill build players have around 2 to 3k skill power, and they stacked pretty much everything into skill power, and that's just, yeah. Let's say it one more time, and I know I rant, probably you don't expect this from me, but yeah, depending skill builds, I'm really, really, really disappointed with the dev team at the moment. They did an awesome job in many ways, let's be honest, absolutely agree. But skill builds, they really fucked it up. Let's say it like it is. And yeah, that's it for the video. So thanks a lot for watching the video until now. Really, really appreciate your time. Have a great day. Happy farming. If you want to see some special builds in detail, then please just let me know. Let me know what you think about the current changes, what you think about the raid in the comments down below. Would really appreciate it as well. And for sure, all your thumbs up helps me a ton. And yeah, see you in the next one. Take care. Happy farming, happy hunting, and bye-bye.